Yes. Protoglycans using linker protein can attach to the hyaluronic acid molecule of blue color to form so giant molecule protoglycan aggregate. Such molecule we can find, for example, in the cartilage, because main function of glycosaminoglycans in the cartilage it attracts water. So with such molecule we can find in cartilage. In loose connective tissue we can find only proteoglycans with such molecules, glycosaminoglycans plus protein. We continue, we finish with characteristic loose connective tissue. Now let's look at the dense connective tissue. Main elements of dense, as we said, will be collagen fibers. Collagen fibers form bundles. What this we can see bundles of collagen fibers. We can see them very clear. And because bundles go in different directions, this will be irregular dense connective tissue, which can be found, for example, in the skin. What this is bundles of collagen fibers, these islets of loose connective tissue. Why? Because we can see a lot of cells. Inside, we can't see a lot of collagen fibers, we can see ground substances. That's all. Again, picture of irregular dense connective tissue. This is slide of the skin, and reticular layer of the skin consists of the dense irregular connective tissue. High magnification. This is regular dense connective tissue. This is part of the tendon. We can see that bundles of collagen go in one direction and parallel to each other. Between tendon on the cross section has features of organization. Our task to consider organization tendon. For example, from this photo we can see flattened nuclei that belong fibroblasts. Fibroblasts here we name as tendocytes. And bundles of collagen fibers between adjacent fibroblasts will be form bundles of the first order. After that, a lot of bundles of first order unite and form bundles of second order that limited by loose connective tissue around itself. Several bundles of second order will be surrounded by loose connective tissue that will be a bit thicker with large blood vessels, and such bundles we name as the third order. And outer tendon covered with dense connective tissue that we name as epineural or epitendinal. Just look please. This is cross section, this longitudinal section. So between adjacent fibrocytes, this is or this bundle of the first order. On cross section, this point, this fibroblast, yes, nucleofibroblast. So, for example, this material of collagen fiber between nucleus will be correspond to the bundles of first order. Is it clear? Now, look please, several bundles of first order form bundles of the second order, which is limited by very thin loose connective tissue, yes? This, bundles of the second order. This loose connective tissue we name as endotendinium. Endotendinium. What's this? Several bundles of second order unite and form bundles of third order. It also will be surrounded by loose connective tissue, but it will be thicker, sometimes with blood vessels. And this loose connective tissue we name as peritendinium. Peritendinium. And outer, all tendon covered with dense connective tissue, and we name this as epitendinium. By magnification, again, first order, first order, first order, second order, one more second order, all this third order. That's why this is fibroblast or fibrocytes, this is endotendinium, very thin, very thicker, peritendinium, and outer epitendinium. Is it clear? Okay. Now, some words about the connective tissue with specific properties. One of them will be reticular tissue. Actually, this also fibroblastic role, but we name them as reticular cell because they produce reticular fibers. Reticular fibers, specific type of collagen fibers. And look please, this cell have same process as fibroblast, but they joined with each other by this process and form three-dimensional network. So reticular tissue may function to create a specific environment for in some organs. In organs that main function is immune defense or hematopoiesis, for example. That's why reticular tissue can be found in bone marrow, in the spleen, in lymph nodes. In thymus will be epithelial reticular tissue. And between reticular cells, we can see lymphocytes. This is reticular cell, reticular fibers. This is photos demonstrate for you reticular fibers, specific dye on the reticular fibers. Again, that's silver staining. This is what this lymph node, where we can see peripheral dark part and light central part, and when we examine with high magnification light part, we receive such picture. What such cell with light enough nuclear with process will be reticular. Dark small cells between cells will be lymphocytes. Compare this nuclear and this. This is reticular cell, this lymphocytes. Again, reticular cell with light nuclear large enough. Sometimes we can see cytoplasm with process. Dark nuclear belong to lymphocytes. Again, reticular cell, large nuclear, and small dark nuclear that belong to lymphocytes. Adipose tissue. Single adipose cell when gathered together to form tissue that we name as adipose. And in our organism, we can find two types of such cells. One has one droplet of fat, and we classify such cell as white adipose tissue. Another type where we can see several droplets of fat, brown adipose tissue, or multilocular because a lot of droplets, or unilocular because one droplets of the fat. Let's compare white, one droplet of the fat, brown, a lot of droplets. Brown adipose tissue well spread in child after birth, but during next 3 months it decreased in the amount, and prominent adipose tissue that can be present in adult organism will be white. Brown may be kept somewhere, very, very little. Look, please, again, familiar to your slide. Tell me, please, what is it?
Fiber.
Yes, this keratinized epithelium. Keratinized epithelium. Under keratinized epithelium, we can find connective tissue. Let's compare this part and this part. What type of connective tissue? Dense, irregular, and this loose. Why?
We can see
A lot of cells, less fibers we can't see, yes. So white material between cells correspond ground substances. Below it we can find adipose tissue. Adipose tissue. So epidermis, derma, after that hypoderma. Where is we can see adipose tissue. This hypoderma of the skin. A lot of adipose cell. And here, next group of connective tissue, embryonic tissue, mesenchyme. Actually, this unsegmented mesosome, and it consists of such cell. Stars shape, stellate shape, which connect with each other by process. Look, please, what this is, mesenchyme. And one more embryonic tissue, mucous tissue, it's present in umbilical cord, and it reminds us mesenchyme also. And mesenchyme is source for development most of types of connective tissue. Here you can see different differon. So mesenchyme differentiate to adventitial cell. Do you remember adventitial cell localized near the capillary? Yes. And if it's necessary, it can divide and give rise different cells. So, fibrogenic cell, fibroblast, fibrocytes, the same actually, the same function of the cell, but in the cartilage. Chondroblast, chondrocyte, osteoblast, osteocytes in the bone. So, what all these, they have main functions. They produce components of extracellular matrix. They're specific for each tissue. For bone tissue, one, for cartilage another, for loose and dense another. Lipogenic cell also arise from mesenchyme, and as a result we receive white and brown fat cell. Mesenchyme also give rise hematopoietic stem cell. And you can see most of these only 3, but hematopoietic stem cell give rise to all blood cells. Yes. That's all. Now I explain what necessary to do in your working home. Task 44. Here, you should draw diagrams of loose connective tissue. No, for example, as here, from presentation, you can take this or this color diagram of loose connective tissue, and you should reflect your knowledge about structure of loose connective tissue. So here must be present as resident cell, different types, as wandering cell. Collagen elastic fibers, and space between them will be ground substance. Task 45. Here you can see names of loose connective tissue cell. So second column, you should draw this cell using electron microscopy view. Electron microscopy, electron, yes, here electron. And here, the third column, you should write function of this cell. Task 46. This is diagram of synthesis of collagen fibers. And below you can see name of these steps. So you should choose and localize these steps on this diagram. Task 47. You can see cross section through the tendon here. Yes? Your task to draw longitudinal section through the tendon. And on both pictures, identify where is bundles first order, second, third. Where is endotendineume, peritendineume, epitendineume. That's all. Only one moment. For example, is it clear that all these first order bundles, they form second order bundles, and they limited by endotendineume, yes, in such case. But to demonstrate the third order bundles, for example, this, we should draw these loose connective tissue different thickness. For example, this thin enough, this thicker and thicker. In such case, we can unite these two bundles of second order into the bundles of third order and name this and this as peritendineume. So if we imagine that we cut through this part, this correspond to this correspond to this. From this and this will be thick enough, connective tissue, loose connective tissue between them very thin. Yes? Так, task 48. You should draw derma of the skin in this square. But because in the task you should identify loose connective tissue, dense, irregular, and adipose tissue, so I advise you to demonstrate your knowledge about structure of this tissue, for example, first I draw irregular dense connective tissue. I should draw bundles of collagen fibers that go in different directions. Yes? And no space between these bundles. Should be very little space free. Yes? So they situated very dense. Is it clear? Between bundles, probably time to time, we can find nucleofibroblast. So this piece of the dense irregular connective tissue. Dense irregular connective tissue. Near it, we can draw a piece of the loose connective tissue. About the loose connective tissue, we remember a lot of cells, a lot of ground substances, less fiber. So we should draw a lot of cells. No, fibers can be present, but not so many. And this will be loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissue. And here we can see adipose tissue. It looks like epithelium without interruptions, without holes. Polygonal shaped cells. And time to time we can see nuclear that's situated peripherally, unstaged. So this adipose tissue. So if you know how know structure of tissue, you can draw it easily. Next, task 49, we should draw reticular tissue. Reticular tissue, what is, for example, probably here. So we should remember that reticular cell have processes that join with each other and form network. They have round nuclei, large enough, light, and between them we can see lymphocytes. Lymphocytes have dark enough nuclei and smaller in the size. What's this? Diagram of reticular tissue. And one of the tasks here to draw mesenchymal cell. So what reticular tissue will be in this square? Mesenchymal cell, only one schematically, or several you can draw here. And this you should identify structures because Xerox not clear. I advise you to use. I find this. What this in presentation more clear. What elements necessary to identify. You can see rough endoplasmic reticulum. Here it's not visible. Yes. So you should only name structures of reticular cell. That's all. what necessary to do to the next class. Will be international student Pirogov conference. That's why all classes will be cancelled.
Sorry, Professor. Only histology or all classes?
All classes.
After the next week.
That's why we meet together in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. That's why we have extra classes
In the future.
We had the extra classes. We had the extra
and after that, no extra classes. Because according to our plan, until June, we have all our class offline.
Thank God.
Perşembe kaç gün sonra?
Vay, sure.
Yani